Let's begin exiting the A.S.A.P lane with Alan.
Hello, everyone. This is Alan Steelman, and I have a very special guest today, and it is on a topic that I know will appeal to particularly all those who are out there trying to perform at their very best and succeed at whatever career path they've chosen. His life story is that of a professional athlete who's become a businessman. And his life and career really illustrates the challenges of the game, both inside and outside the lines. And, you know, when you think about professional athletes today, we are entertained and we as spectators live vicariously through their performance on the playing field. And their successes and failures are there for all of us to see. So that's the game inside the lines. The game outside the lines is less visible to us and less understood. And the factors, frankly, that matter the most in achieving the competitive edge. And that's what we're going to explore today. My guest is Flavio Ungaro. He was born and grew up in Italy. He played professional basketball for 9 years, then coached for another 4 years. And in his current role, he is drawing on lessons learned from both his successes and failures on and off the field as a professional athlete. He holds a master's degree in mental preparation for top performers, and he is now the CEO of the Mentally Fit Institute for Latin America. This is a global company applying lessons learned from sports and how top performers achieve the competitive edge. And that is the topic for today, top performers and achieving the competitive edge. And Flavio says about his own career that, and I quote him, "I've lost, I've been benched, I've choked multiple times during my career. Fortunately, a fisherman, a soldier, and a basketball player taught me the secrets of success. The greatest of all capacities is to learn from what happens to you so you can make it happen in the way that you want." So Flavio, a very big welcome to you, and what an interesting career path you have had. And I can imagine that you feel particularly fortunate to be able to apply your lessons from your athletic career to business. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan. It's a big pleasure to be here and to speak together about human performance, failure, learnings, and hopefully we can inspire someone to change the way to think, to change the way to act, and do it in a more sustainable way.
Right. Well, you know, I think that most of us who have either played athletics professionally or at the amateur level and who are today spectators, we certainly understand the rigors of competing on the athletic playing field. I'm not sure that many of us really think about our careers in business as taking place on a competitive playing field and the skill set necessary for the business person to succeed today. So could you talk a little bit about how you made the transition and how your current role in helping individuals, teams, and organizations compete and achieve the competitive edge and how that applies?
First of all, I would like to say that I'm really blessed and lucky for the activity that I do today, because it gives you a possibility of transmit a very powerful message in today's world and global situation. What we observe today is that, in our humble point of view, we observe that the business environment today is really faster, ever-changing, complex, really ambiguous, and the results to be really confusing for us as a human beings. So, what I would like to share with you is we did recently, some years ago, a study with EY. Basically, in this study, we check the parallel between hours worked by employees and productivity.
So EY being Ernst & Young.
Yes. Clear.
Right.
So the relationship between those two parameters, hours worked and productivity, is going worse compared to a few decades ago. This is really weird. We started to ask ourselves, how come that today, 2018, 2019, we have all this technology, all this innovation, management-wise, we are much more prepared. We studied leadership. So how come this is happening? And we are not ready for it. What is going on? So basically, what we observe that we are working longer hours, but we are achieving less. How come? So one simple reason, we observed the work in the past was involving much more manuality, okay, manual capabilities.
Yes.
But today is all about the mind. Today is all about not really material outcome, but mostly is a brain, is a mind outcome, mind productivity. So the mental challenge that you are facing today, we understood, are quite new for us as a species. So it is curious to observe that as human beings, we did so great in innovation up to today that we end up created a world for which one we are not ready. So the world we created we are not fit for it. We are still not ready. So that's why we perceive that the competitive environment became overwhelming, became too much, because the dynamic we are living, for the dynamic that we produced, we are not really ready to perform today.
Yeah.
So in this world that really runs so fast, we are all required to achieve more with less resources. At any level. You take the sports, we live this with our Olympic athletes, you take academics, you take business, everywhere, Alan, we can observe this. So individual teams and organizations are at a higher risk of failure than they were in the past.
So you mentioned innovation and you mentioned the global playing field. And
yes.
Certainly the globalization of business has created a much more intense competitive playing field, because your competitors sometimes, who used to be next door, are now halfway around the world. And it's much more difficult to keep track of what they're doing and to stay apace. And innovation, of course, is destroying old business models at a fairly rapid pace and replacing them with new business models that aren't clearly understood. So it puts the chief executive or even the employees on a playing field where they've got to respond to competitors halfway around the world and respond to very rapid movements in business model changes that are threatening their very survival.
Indeed.
So the playing field has dramatically changed, and the importance of being able to remain calm and think rationally in the face of the speed of life today is certainly the key competitive challenge. So I know that your business talks about certainly competing at the individual level. You also deal with team competition, and you also deal with total corporation competition. Could you talk a little bit about the requirements for each of those, the individual, the team, and the total company or the total organization?
A guy much more smarter and prepared than me one time said, energy is everywhere, and I'm referring to Einstein. So those are the rules that govern our world, our universe. And we started to look at a system, organizational system that can be in sport or can be in business, like a sum of sources of energy. When we look at organization, we identified that we can actually create organizational agility by focusing on three key targets. At the individual level, so the people, the players. At the team level, where we can take not only my team, but also the way that my team can collaborate with other teams inside the same organization. And of course, we take the global perspective of organization for something that is more intangible, but has an incredible power, the culture. And if you allow me, I will just mention something about it. So talking about the individual level, we really speak about personal performance, the power of personal energy. So actually what we refer to is what we call a key skill for today's business people. And this is about self-leadership. Because everybody is really focused on managing people, but what happens to us? What do we know? What did they teach us in order to be ready to face this high competitive business environment? So exactly like in sport, when you acquire the performance of a player, you're actually making an investment, and this player represents a resource for your team. If the player cannot play because he's injured, you're actually losing players on the field for you to win the competition. We have really clear this idea in sport. We manage the energy and the health and everything that is around the performance of a player. 360 degrees, we manage it 100%. Nothing is left to the improvisation. In business, we notice that still today, unfortunately, the amount of money and resources invested in business are huge. But still today, we see that the performance of the person is quite overlooked on the level of personal energy. We see people, we just conclude 2018, we are starting now 2019, and for another year, I coach people, top executives, and they are exhausted. How come that we arrive at the end of the year increasingly exhausted? Why? Because we don't really teach to those players, to the corporate players, the capability to take care about themselves, which is not just recovery. It's understanding what are the structured way in order to manage my performance, in order to manage my recovery, what I need to do in which exact moment that will benefit my level of energy and will increase my performance in a sustainable way. And we are talking mainly in managing not just the technical part, which is the one that still today, 2019, companies look the most. So when we speak about people, we are actually speaking about brains. We are actually talking about their technical capacities. But this is just one part of the game. In sport, we understood since many, many years that at that kind of level of competition in which, we coach multinational companies that they all have either the gold medal or the silver medal on the neck, in order to get there, it's not just a matter of technique. You can have great technical skills, but everybody does. Your competitor does too. So where is the competitive edge? Today, we are playing the competitive edge on how you're actually managing your physical energies, your emotional stability, and of course, how strong is your purpose in order to sustain and to nourish the various effort that you have to do in your various capacities. So we used to say that you are worth as your weakest battery. You always fall on your weakest dimension under pressure. So it's really key for today's businessmen to understand what is my weakest dimension under high pressure. Once we are able to understand that we are like, the famous corporate athlete in which we are proud to have participated to the concept of the international concept of corporate athlete, we need to start to manage business people like athletes because they are resources on the long term. We cannot continue to squeeze them. We cannot continue to leave everything to the improvisation because the bad guy is not necessarily the organization. It's also the fact that we put players in a high competitive field, but they don't have the real skills to face this pressure. So we lose them.
On the individual performer question,
sure.
I saw a speaker recently who was addressing a group of type A high-pressured executives, and he said, all the time you're spending advancing your careers and acquiring the creature comforts that your pay allows you to acquire, please ask yourself a question. Will I live to enjoy my success?
Indeed.
Will I survive what I'm doing to enjoy my success? And it sounded like you were, in different words, saying the same thing, that these exhausted executives at the end of this year, 2018, that you've been dealing with as clients need to be managing both mental and physical health in order to be able to enjoy the lives they're trying to build for themselves and their families.
Absolutely. This is the secret of sustainability. We cannot look at short-term results. Right. Absolutely not, because this has huge consequences. What you just said made me think about a famous quote from my teammate. His name is also Alan, and Alan says, today the classic motto of no pain, no gain,
Right.
it became is slightly transformed in the perception of the workers of today. Today, no pain, no gain transform into all pain, no gain. Because also I've been coaching one team lately, in the last part of this of the championship 2018, and those team, even in the top multinational, I will not mention the name, of course, but the top multinationals still today don't take the time at the end of the year to just stop and recognize the effort of the people. They are really focused only on KPIs. So if you match the number that was the expectation, yes, you're gonna receive your energy because you match the goal. But what happens when you have all this economic contraction? So especially in a region like mine, Latin America, this is totally unpredictable, totally unstable, So how do we make sure that we give energy to our people? We need to recognize them. And recognition is one of the most powerful source of energy, especially in the last moment of the year. And so, because otherwise employees, they feel like doing holes in the water. They all work, they all do constantly the same. It's like the never-ending story. So organizations don't really take the time to close the book and energize the people with a simple, hey guys, thank you very much for your effort. Yes. It was worth it. Yes. So that maybe link me to the second level of the organization. Once all the players are ready and set to go and to manage themselves, this is not enough, of course, because then those players, they have to play in a team context. And playing as a team is really tricky. Especially today, we see that many organizations, they speak about teamwork, team. While we observe from our point of view, coming from sport, that yes, they are really technically skilled, maybe the structure, the strategy is really clear. But what about the relationship within those people? Are the ambitions clear? Are the goals clear? The purpose of the team? Do we sit down to clearly define and strengthen the trust, the glue within the people? Do we build roles just to fulfill job requirements, or do we build the roles based on the talent of the people? What is our choice? How do we integrate new players? How do we monitor the progress? How do we take care about the sustainability of the team? So we must make sure that the team really gets what is this, the magical added value of the collectivity. Because one thing is the individual, one thing is the collectivity. Playing as a silo today is no longer possible. The competitors will really crush us if my company is still working as a silo. My department, my team, my people. No, we must understand that is the team and the results of the team that brings added value to the success of the organization. And of course, everybody knows if the team wins, you win out of it.
Yes. Yes.
So in the organization, we need to absolutely kill the silo mentality, not just by developing one team. We need to also make sure that we develop this inter-team collaboration. Yes. My team with your team, because what it counts is that we create this more bigger brand mentality, global mentality of my organization. My organization is not just local. The game has completely changed. You said before, we live in a global business. And yes, so that's why we must then operate on the third level, which is the culture. With which mindset my player, my teams are coming to the organization, to the place, to the pitch every day. Are they playing for themselves? Are they in the me first mentality? Or are they in the team first or in the brand first mentality, organization first mentality? And so we explored exactly like we could do with our Olympic teams, what it takes in order to achieve better performance, but on a mindset level. So we really need to focus on the behaviors on the behaviors of the people belonging to the whole organization. So we actually can measure today, based on the behavior, in which cultural level are you.
Yes.
Most of the organizations were asking to us 5 years ago, like, we need a winning culture because the competitors are cracking us. Okay, let's build a winning culture. But today, we are starting to notice that is not enough. We need to focus on the key agent of creation of the culture, which are the leaders. And the leaders today, they are called not only to win. Today, the bigger brands, they are looking for a footprint culture, something that can create a legacy over the future generation and over the society. Today, the real fight on the business battleground is on the footprint. Look at Apple, look at Google, look at IBM, look at all those companies, look at Amazon, all those companies are really purpose-oriented.
Yes.
And, we can have any kind of judgment towards those companies, but we need to technically look at what they are doing.
Right.
They conquer people by purpose. They conquer people by engagement,
Yeah. Yes.
So as of today, those three levels need to be tackled in order to purely oxygenate and, give energy to the organization.
Yes. Okay, good. Let's talk about the MBA degree for just a moment. So, as you know, there's been, you could call it the conventional wisdom over the past several decades that an ambitious young person who wanted to succeed in business could go to business school, get an MBA, and that was your ticket to the C-suite. Now, it sounds like what you're saying is an MBA may be fine. That might get you on the playing field, but that is far from being enough to succeed in today's hyper-competitive environment. It's really a mind game where the mind needs to be managed above all. Would that be?
With all the due respect, of course, we no doubt the MBA experience gives invaluable new tools and insights over top-level business. Great tools, technical capacities, technical skills, amazing knowledge, in-depth sharing of case studies, but then doesn't tell you mostly nothing about what a real day-to-day life and challenge is about being a CEO, being any C-suite manager, or what does it really mean to do that constantly, every day, under pressure, and not for yourself. Not only for yourself, because then you have to manage other people that have the same challenge and need to put them in motion. So the key leadership challenge today is closing the intention-action gap. How do we put people in motion that are incredibly technically skilled, but then there is an emotional block. So we come back to the key importance of how do I manage my mind, and in order for me to be agile, in order for me to just get into action and to sustain the daily challenge. Look at great inspiration from sport today. Look at LeBron James, for example. This player is every day lacing the shoes, getting on the field, and be impactful for the results of the organization. People see this like it was a video game, but it's not like this. Behind there is a crazy preparation. As I will say, the easy part is to be on the field, because is what you practice the most. You practice all the time, every day in practice, movement that then you're going to do in the field. So you kind of prepare for it. What is the most difficult thing, Alan, is what happens out of the field.
Yes.
The recovery part. How do you manage the weight? How do you manage your mind? So I will say, just to close, today it's a big challenge on the EQ level, emotional, social, also on the SQ, about purpose in life, about purpose in the organization, what drives us, and also about physical. I would say that the MBA should change from master in business administration and integrate also a master in brain administration.
Yes.
Because today it's all about administrating your mind. And the most successful leaders of today, you may see that they were starting things in the garage. They didn't even finish the university. Why? Because they have this natural talent in manage their own performance and the performance of the people they lead under high pressure.
Yes. I do want to talk about EQ in just a moment, but let me ask you first. You mentioned choking in your athletic career.
Mm-hmm.
Another more clinical definition of that is stress-related performance failure. Just a fancy way of saying choking. And so I think most of us who have either played athletics or been spectators are certainly familiar with dramatic choking incidents from big sports events around the world. We don't often think about, though, a salesperson going into a key meeting or a speaker getting ready for a performance review or a speaker getting stage fright can suffer a panic attack. And no matter how much you've practiced before the mirror before you go on stage, no matter how high your skill level may be, if you cannot manage the anxiety and the stress, then choking or a stress-related performance event can become a part of your bio, right?
Well, Alan, I mean, I speak with the heart, and I speak really with the experience that I've been living. How could I put this? I would say that the quest for top performance does not always include a medal on your neck. Everybody strive to get on the field and to sustain is on the long term and is ready to do anything. So what happens when you choke? I would say that performance is a game of choice, and you can make the choice that you make influence and impact the level of your delivery. But the choice that you make sometimes is unconscious, sometimes is conscious. Most of the choices we take, they are unconscious. Why? Because it's our amygdala, our limbic system that makes us react.
Yes.
And that's why on the field we see an unexpected outcome. When the choices are conscious, as it's clear from neuroscience, or what we observe also with all the people that we coach, is that we observe the prefrontal switch, and actually our executive center, our latest development of our beautiful brain, gets activated so that we can involve higher function and take conscious choices. That's the difference between sustainable performance and short-term results. And if I really can share with you, I think is the real challenge of the world of today. We are not really good in managing our instinct and our reaction. We take limbic choices. That's why we focus on the short term. If we would really train people, but starting from the kids in school, on how to activate this prefrontal cortex, we will create much more awareness and we will create much more mature choices on the field and see that the world will be much more sustainable. And this happened at any level. The athlete that sees that physically is not the good, so he tries to cheat with doping, and then he gets caught or not. But anyway, what happens that at the end of the career is going to pay the consequences.
Right.
At least in athletes, we have the WADA, the WADA, that is the doping organization. In business, we don't have that. So every day, those 5, 6, 7 coffees that energetic drink that you take in order to boost your performance, anxiolytic, pills from anxiety, depression, sleeping pills, those are all business dopings that really impacts our performance, and there is no doping federation for business yet. So what we have to understand that, yes, everybody wants to achieve a higher delivery. It can be a speech in front of many people, a commercial meeting, but we need to understand that the main challenge is not on the field, is before. Yes. How do you manage those moments before getting there? Yes. And the challenge is definitely non-technical, because they are extremely well-prepared manager, extremely well-prepared, technically prepared manager. They know what they have to say. But they missed the exposition. They missed exposition, and we taught them, unfortunately, that they cannot make mistakes. So how in the world you make a performer improve if never makes mistakes?
Right.
My father taught me, and I come back to the introduction, no? The fisherman, the soldier, and the basketball player.
Yes.
Just for you to give you a background, the fisherman was my grandfather. The soldier was the other grandfather, and the basketball player was my father.
Ah.
They taught me something. The more you work, the more you're going to make mistake. Up to you to keep it as a mistake or to make it as a life experience, as a life learning.
Yes.
That's the key. That's really the key. Because otherwise, especially when, I come from the south of Italy, a very poor region with not real great possibilities. So that's what gave me the strength to say, hey, whatever happens to you is happening also to other people. Now it's up to you to bounce higher and to make it happen with those learnings. Stop crying, stop being bad, because again, in my career, I've been failing all over again, But today, finally, I feel like, wow, I understood the key for top performance, and I want to share these with the people I coach. This is, I never say that I work. This is not a work. This is a great mission, and I feel so excited about it. So,
well, there is that great famous saying by the philosopher Nietzsche that what doesn't kill me improves me, right?
If you put mind on it, Alan. If you put mind on it,
right. Very good. We're getting close to wrapping up here, but I want you to briefly describe the 7 sources of human energy that you say must be addressed in order to truly acquire the competitive edge. Talk about that.
Okay, for all our listeners, I would like to give some a little gift. My little gift for the new year will be start the new year with a big boost of energy. Will be to start to administrate our energy resources. So humanly, as human beings, we have some way to recharge our system. Not only the body, we need to recharge all the 4 dimensions: the brain, the body, the emotions, and the spirit. So those 7 sources, they include everything you can do in order to recharge your body. Because one person will think, I just go to sleep, or maybe I take a nap, or maybe a coffee is a shot of energy. Well, it depends. It depends on the situation. It depends what do you need in which specific moment in order to sustain your performance. So those 7 sources are divided into 2 big categories. So in our scientific research, we can identify that the first 3 sources are what we call the vital sources of energy. They represent around 70% of all our global energy. So I would ask to the people listening to us, what are the key 3 vital sources? For sure, number 1, the key is sleep. There is nothing more recharging for us than sleeping. The function of sleeping is, of course, to clean the brain, to make sure that we eliminate the waste that is producing through all the day. And of course, by reaching specific phases, stages of sleep, we can allow the body to recover and to repair. This is key. Today, thanks to studies coming also from many studies, but if you just go to the World Health Organization and you see that people are sleeping an average of 6 hours a day, not in the right time frame. And this is lowering the power of recovery for human beings. People talk about financial crisis. I would say behind those people that made wrong financial choices, there are people that made wrong recovery choices. Those people were not sleeping when they took those choices. Yes. So make those people sleep good, and you will see that they will take choices in the prefrontal cortex. Second source is definitely nutrition. And I'm not speaking only about food. I speak about all the things that nourish our body. The oxygen, the light, and then you put all the food. You see, I still see today organization that they don't have a proper energizing working environment for human beings. They are dark, air conditioning, or too much heat, or there is the carpet on the floor. Those things are not good for us. It's like we are like plants. We need light and we need good oxygen to alimentate, to nourish the brain, because what it counts is brain performance.
Yeah.
And regarding the food, of course, here I will start to put it not only on the individual responsibility, but also on the system. They are teaching us to eat the wrong thing, to have wrong habits driven, of course, by capitalistic or profit intention objective.
Yes.
That calls also for vital source number 3, which is activating the body. One recommendation I would like to give to all the listeners today is like, guys, from 0 to 10, there is a middle way. Activating the body and put in motion doesn't mean to do sport. You don't need to stand up from your chair today and pretend to do CrossFit right away. No. Activating the body means to start to stand up regularly from that chair in your desk every 25, 30 minutes and put your body in motion, because today sitting is the new smoking. Today sitting is the higher cause of death, even more than smoking. And the worst thing, by the way, the worst thing you can do is to smoke by being sitting. Right. So if you do this combo, it's terrible. So sitting today is killing a lot because it generates a lot of cardiovascular problems, metabolism slow down, and of course, it brings you down. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your job. It brings down by 20% your brain performance. So just stand up, move, and you will see that you will not need later to work those 12, 14, 10 hours a day that are really unproductive. Okay. You make sure that by activating those 3 vital sources, you can even work less.
Okay, so good. Yes. Those are the first 3, and they're the vital ones. We're starting to get close on time. Could you summarize the other 4 quickly?
Okay, quickly. Just make sure to go out there and reestablish good relationship with your people. We are social animals, and it's a matter of protection. So we release oxytocin, we release dopamine and serotonin thanks to our social context. Social context is energy source number 4. Then we have mental satisfactors. We all need to be recognized. We all need to be loved, because those sources, they always stimulate the production of dopamine, serotonin. So the real good chemistry, you know. Yes. So mental satisfaction is recovery source number 5. Recovery source number 6 is me time. Guys, have the time to reserve the time for yourself. Do the things that you just enjoy to do, not because they bring you money, not because they give you any kind of business return. Do it because it's what we call, what Csikszentmihalyi called autotelic experience. Do things that you just enjoy while you do them. It's auto recognition. So it's energy source number 6 will be me time involving active and passive hobbies or activities or leisure. Number 7, don't forget about humor. Humor is a great stimulator of the positive chemistry in the mind. Yep. And behind humor, there is a great capabilities. Why humorists or stand-up comedians is measured that they are within the smartest people in the world, because they have a great mental capabilities. They see a specific situation from hundreds of point of view. This generates a quick release and a quick emotional discharge. If you are worried about something, start to look at it with different point of view.
And it activates the vagus nerve, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And this is really good.
Exactly. And that's the key to a calm mind. Well, Flavio, thank you so much. I know that there's so many who aspire to be a top performer and who either may be falling short or they may be achieving, but with all the damage to their mental and physical health that goes with that. So thank you so much for sharing this. I know that all of our listeners are going to enjoy it. And I wish you a very prosperous and happy and healthy 2019. Thank you very much, Flavio.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you very much to all the people connected, all the listener. And I will just to say, it's never too late to start. Activate that body, move yourself, because there is still a long way to go. The body comes from millions of years of engineering. So make it move, make it work, and great success for 2019.
And tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life, right?
Exactly.
All right, thank you very much.
You're much wiser than me, so you have all those...
Okay, thank you.